High Valley Sports Online brings you the Coaches Show. First coach up, Reno Saccoccia, followed by Andrew Connor at 6:30. Josh Reinke at 7 o'clock, and Eric Meek from Catholic Central at 7:30. This segment's brought to you by Fort Student Maintenance. Coach, welcome. Thanks for coming. You got a bounce-back win against Taylor Alderdice. Tell us a little bit about the game.
Well, the best thing about the game was we got off to a quick start, and the second best thing was everybody got to play. So those are the two things that I took out of it. But it was a very expensive win because we lost one of our favorite players in Cam Daly, and he's the second senior to lose out for the season next to Cooper Blackburn, who had problems with I don't know, somewhere in his throat and his collarbone. He had to get a bone removed from a rib and things of that nature, and blood clots, and he went through HELL for a while, but he's bouncing back, and he should be ready for baseball season. Cam's he'll be 6 weeks in a cast, and he can start rehab.
Two big losses. Cooper Blackburn, quality kid, and Cam Daly been one of the better offensive linemen I've seen in a long time here at not only Steubenville but in the High Valley. You can't replace Cam, but how are you going to cover up that loss?
Well, we're not going to cover up. We're just the next man up, and we're not going to make very many changes. We might flop our right tackle over the left tackle on Bryce. Bryce has some games under his belt also. He's a senior. We're down to two senior leaders on that offensive line, and we're not going to change anything. We're going to put the next guy in, and he knows he's a bigger football player, and we're depending on him to step in and do the best he can do, and even a little bit better than that.
That means a lot. One thing you said about everybody got to play. I know you make a habit of playing a lot of kids. I think that makes them practice harder and things to that effect. How you practicing this week so far?
Well, you try to. Today was our first day in pads. We had two Monday practices, one Monday, and then on Tuesday we had a Monday because we don't play until Saturday. So today was our first day in pads. We'll go a little bit in pads tomorrow, and then Friday will be pregame. But I think from now on, for the rest of the year, however long that is, it's more of a mental than a physical thing at practice. So we just want to be mentally prepared, know our scheme, know our routes, know our defenses, and no. The more you know, the faster you play, and I believe that with my whole heart. That if you're not thinking, you're playing fast, and that's what we want to do. We just want to keep playing fast and keep it simple, and just let the kids play.
Coach, I noticed in your scheduling, I always get a lot of questions about how Big Red football always so good. And I always tell them, I said, Coach Saccoccia has it down to a science with his schedule because, come, week 11, it seems like they've never seen anything, nothing's going to surprise them in week 11. They see, teams that play zone against them, teams that play the spread against them, wing offenses, option offenses. How do you get to where you get this schedule down? Because last week it seemed like Taylor Alderdice played a lot of man coverage on you and your receivers.
Well, what I like to do is, right now we went out and tried to find a couple RPO teams, and we did, and we didn't do very good against them early, but the last couple weeks, I think our kids have really been, and it's something new. We've been a cover 4 team since 1994. Before that, we were a 4-4 team, and then we went to the 4-3 cover 4, and now we're in a 3-4. So it's a new defense we're running this year, and that's why it's really not that exotic, because we just want our players to learn their basic fundamentals, but we have to be ready for RPOs, and we've played a couple really good teams that throw the ball and hit the middle of that field, and that's what we got to get ready to cover. But if you look on our region, it's more of a running region, so that's how you have to make the schedule. And our schedule was really made for Division III, Region 9. Chardon has the wing tee. Canfield had a really, really good quarterback. So our schedule was basically for that. And then it just passed on to Division IV and went to Division IV.
Yeah, and you really seen some really good skilled receivers, some really good skilled quarterbacks.
That's the key. You want to face good quarterbacks during the regular season. We started out against Girard, and Girard had probably the best quarterback we've seen so far this year. But he got hurt, So I don't know how long he's out for, but he's hurt. But we had a really good scrimmage with them. Then we went to Canton South. They're basically a running team. And then you go to Louisville, and we had to be more disciplined because of their option.
Yeah.
And then Dover. When you first scrimmage, when we first started to play them, it was all pass team.
Now it's all run.
But last year they ended up running the ball, and they're running the ball this year. So that was a great test for us. And then Lindsley did a good job. And everybody says, well, we played bad against Lindsley. I don't think we played bad. We gave up a couple big plays, like our first catch on the 3-yard line, and then so far we've missed 3 interceptions this year and 3 touchdowns directly after the interception. So,
yeah.
But it's helping. It's helping us. You're sick at the time when you lose, but every game we've played so far has helped us to set our pace to where we want to be after 10 games. And this week we'll face a running team that throws the ball a little bit but has a really good, skilled quarterback. And then next week, Rock Christian, they got it all. And so the next 2 weeks will really be we'll put icing on the cake for the season. And however we end up, and then we got to get into the next season.
I saw, Coach, one thing I noticed in the Lindsley game, just talking about the big picture, Lindsley tried to copy some of the things that Park did that was effective against us. Does that happen week in and week out where people are watching films and they try and copycat something?
Yeah, film is so important, especially when you show your kids. But teams might put a wrinkle in, but my philosophy has always been stop what they do best and react to everything else. So, no matter who we're playing, we got to know what they do best. Their best 2 runs, their best passes off that run, and whatever they do out of shotgun, if they're a shotgun team. But we want to take away what they do best, and naturally they're going to have other things, but we got to react to that. You can't stop everything. We want to stop what they do best, and hopefully that makes them play left-handed, and they're not going to do as good with a play that they worked on for 3 days as they are with the play they worked on all year. So we want to stop what they do best and do what we do best, and then try to maybe get some plays off of what we do best. But we got to make sure that we're doing what we do best. And you don't know what that is until as the season goes on, those things change. And because, we feel that the inside run sets up our offense. Well, teams know that they're going to stop the inside run. So we're just trying to be balanced from D gap to D gap on both sides, and have a good play action pass. Then everything else off of that, just we try to do what our kids can do.
Other than the fact of Cam going down, which was, as we said earlier, a devastating loss, I feel. What else did you take from the game?
Same thing I take from every game. I just want to see our players play as hard as they can play, and mistakes are going to happen. But if they make a mistake at full speed, then that cuts that mistake in half. And that's the only thing that concerns me early in the game is play as hard as you can play, and then second, don't leave your fundamentals. Be fundamentally sound. And then third, have some success. But if you're playing as hard as you can play and you're fundamentally sound, then you got a good chance of winning. So those are the 2 things that that I try to get out of our players, and really that's the only thing I talk about is just play as hard as you can play and play as fundamentally sound as you can play, and everything else will take care of itself. I got that from you, Jimmy Mack, because I remember you used to pitch. You were like a bulldog.
And fundamentally sound. That's
you were
right.
Fundamentally
we're
sound.
Always on the attack,
and that's important in pitching too. I mean,
that is.
if your follow through is off a little bit, that ball's going everywhere. So fundamentals are, and you always hear a coach say that after a loss, we got to get back to the fundamentals. Well, if you never leave your fundamentals, you don't have to go back to them.
I agree with that. So your practice schedule is set up to the fact to maintain fundamentals every single day. Work on some fundamentals.
First
like
15 minutes,
blocking and tackling.
First 15 minutes of every practice is fundamentals. The first of offense. The first 15 minutes of practice on defense is agility, and then get to the ball. We do some drills where you got to get to the ball, and the third thing is tackling, and then we go to individual after that. But just we try to be fundamentally sound.
I know that you mentioned earlier, which I know has been your mantra for a long time, and that is, getting down to this time of the year and going into the playoffs, the games are played from the shoulders up. Do you shorten your practices? Do you lengthen them? Do you go no contact? Do you make any changes in practice?
You won't believe this, but we haven't had full contact at a practice since the last scrimmage. And we'll go hard after it, but we don't tackle. We never tackle at practice, and we 3 days in pads, and 2 of them will be against bags, and 1 of them will be live, but no tackling. And that's I don't think we'll cut time off of practice, but we cut contact, and right now we're working on trying to save some legs.
And Coach, do you think, like, with that being said, like, you don't tackle as much, but you go hard in pads, do you think that helps out with the long run of like the mental aspect of it, like cutting down the penalties? Because early on, you guys were making great plays.
Our penalties are bad, man. We've had over 350 yards of offense. On top, we have 600 yards in penalties. We have over 300 more in plays called back. And we brought up the lens of the game. We had a quarterback keep go down to the 2-yard line, called back. Then we had a pass of Sims going down to the 4-yard line, called back. And whether it was a penalty or not, it's a penalty. And that's what happened. And then we had them 3rd and 27 and stopped them and had a unsportsmanlike conduct. So
yes.
I mean, we kill ourselves, and our players know that. We're trying to work. But you know what? I've had more suggestions, bring referees to practice and all that. But if you harp on them too long, then they're going to pull back. I don't want
take the aggression away.
You
take the aggression.
We just got to get smarter. That's all.
Yep.
And what I write on the board every Friday: fast, physical, and smart. We play fast and we play physical. We don't always play smart, and that's what we got to add to our game. And it's not a lot of kids; it's a couple kids, but it's a we thing. And so we got to play smart. We're going to play fast. We're going to play physical. I don't even really talk about that a whole lot, but we got to add intelligence to the game.
Okay, it's Ohio Valley Sports Online bringing you the Coaches Show here from Bennigan's with our first coach up, Coach Reno Saccoccia from Steubenville High School, brought to you by Fort Steuben Maintenance. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be back to talk about this week's opponent.
Got a sidewalk that needs replaced, or maybe your roof is leaking? How about some new windows? Who do you call? Fort Steuben Maintenance, that's who. Commercial or residential, they can handle most any project, big or small. They also do new construction and renovations. So get a free estimate by calling Fort Steuben Maintenance today and get them started on your next project. 740-283-4890 for Fort Steuben Maintenance.
This high school event is brought to you by AT&T on Sunset via the AT&T Wireless Network. Remember, don't text and drive, it can wait. AT&T on Sunset is a proud sponsor of this high school event.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
It may not require a textbook, but it's filled with valuable lessons. It may not take place in a classroom, but it's an ideal environment for learning. It may not involve a diploma, but it can help prepare Ohio's young people for life. It's high school sports. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students that participate in high school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think again. Better yet, think about attending a high school sporting event in your community. You'll be amazed by what you see. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
You know, Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
Here at Bennigan's, it's Ray Saccoccia along with Jimmy Mack Wilson and Dan Vogel from Ohio Valley Sports Online. Welcome back for the second part of the show. Coach Saccoccia. Coach, got a big game coming up. They're all big. Youngstown Cardinal Mooney turned into a little rivalry for us over the years. They're 5-3 this year. They're improved. What else can you tell us, Coach?
Well, they're turning into a typical Mooney team. They were down 17-0 to Warren Harding last week and came out and ran off 26 points by just going to the run. And they're 305, 310 at the left guard and left tackle, and 295 at the right tackle, 270 at the right guard, and I think like maybe 225 at the center. They're big, they're strong, and they've had a lot of adversity. You know, their offensive line coach was killed in an accident on the way to a funeral, and you know that happened last week. And then they had to play the Warren Harding game, so they've had a lot of issues, you know, with luck, and they've won a couple games that they had to forfeit. You know, so I think they have their record now at 4-4 or 5-3, but they've won 2 games that they had to forfeit. So they've just improved every week, and you know, I can't say anything about them. You know, they've given us the worst butt kicking we've had since I've been the coach. So until we can even it up, I'm shutting up.
Coach, now you was saying earlier about Cardinal Mooney's running game. And now that you run a 3-4 defense, if they, you know, on the attack, I know you got your game plan as far as attacking that running game. You foresee yourself possibly jumping into a 4-3 if you need to, or are you just going to stick with your base on that?
No, you know the 3-4. If you understand the I'll say the idiosyncrasies of it. The formation puts you into whatever defense you're in. Like if you're in a 3-4 and they bring a tight end, well, that outside linebacker comes on there. So, you know, now if they bring in 2 tight ends, then you're in a 5-2. So if they bring up 2 tight ends and a wing, then you're switched with their safety and corner on it. So their formations dictates your defense. Now you can go heavier 3-4. You know, get heavier people in there, you know, to stop the run, or lighter people in there to stop the pass, or be a situational 3-4 team like we try to do, you know, depending on what the down and distance is, what part of the game it is. But the 3-4 is very adjustable to the offenses, and that's why we went to it, because you can go man out of it. You know, you can man up, you can zone up, you can double up, and We just haven't been able to teach all that yet, but we're teaching as we go. If we need something this week, then we add it, and that's why Monday's so important to us. Monday is just a day where we work on us, on what we have to do to get better. And Tuesday we do the same thing. Then Wednesday we work on our opponents. So tomorrow is Wednesday because we play on Saturday. So we'll work tomorrow on our opponent. We'll work Friday on our opponent. And Saturday, hopefully, we've prepared our players well enough to stop or slow down whatever they're doing.
Coach, we talked about the size of Mooney's offensive line, and that they are predominantly a running football team. Are there any tendencies? Are they more right-handed or left-handed? And I'm sure they root play-action pass off of that.
They have a couple coaches on it. They have 4 coaches on their team that coached in college probably for more than 20 years. Shepis is their offensive coordinator. He was the coach at Massillon for years, and he was the coach at Waynesburg for like 15 years. Then Carl Pelini coached at Arizona, and he coached at a couple schools in Florida. He coached at Nebraska with his brother, and then Bo helps him once in a while. And then Mark, rest his soul, the one that just passed away, played at Nebraska and coached. And I mean, they have coaches that knows what's going on. So they might set you up for a tendency. And if a team has too big of tendencies, then you can bet he's going to come with something off of that tendency because people scout themselves. So if we're running to the right on third and in between 4 and 5, and we've done that for 8 weeks, then certainly we're going to come with something off of that play. And so we don't get real hung up in that, but back to what I'm saying in double talking is we want to stop what they do best. So we're gonna line up to stop what they do best, and if they have to do something off of that, then we have to react to that. And we have to read that's why keys are so important. You got to read your keys because the guards are going to take you there, or maybe a stance that some kid has. Something is going to give you a direction to what they're doing.
We played a game Saturday afternoon. Other than just moving your practice back a day on your preparation and everything, is there any other changes you have to make to suit that Saturday game? No, we're going to have breakfast as a team, and we're going to leave here at 9:45, get there by 11, and we just didn't want to play Saturday night because when we come back from that game, then we got to get started right on Rock Creek because we play them the next Friday. So that'll give us a couple hours Saturday, and then go home Saturday night, maybe by 9 or 10 o'clock, and then come right back Sunday. So if we played Saturday night, we'd really have a problem. But right now I think that we can get back on. Most of the coaches will drive back after the game quickly and get started on them by the time we get the team back.
Coach, is there any key players that you're going to key on that you've done your scouting on from Cardinal Mooney, say for instance a quarterback to a running back?
Every kid has a key.
Okay.
Our linebackers have keys. Our defensive line has keys. But I think you mean that if 99 lines up in this area, what they like to do if 88 lines up here. There's some things like that, yeah. But offensively, they play so many kids. It's hard to just get a bullseye on exactly what they're doing. So we just want to play sound defense. We want to be gap sound. That's the most important thing on defense, in my opinion, is alignment, assignment, adjustment. Know your alignment. Know your assignment, and if they do something off of it, know your adjustment. If we can do those 3 A's every play, then we'll be undefeated for the rest of our life. But it's tough to get aligned properly every play, know your proper assignment as a whole team together, and then know your adjustments. So that's why you work on the fundamentals. And offensively, our goal is my man's not making the tackle. And if you have that goal, and it's hard because I'm trying to prevent a moving man that's as upset as I am from getting to a point where he wants to get, and that's my job. So if my man doesn't make the tackle, and all 11 of us can say that, then we got a touchdown.
Well, I know up there in that area with the Catholic schools, I know there's a mad rush to get players, and it seems that in the last couple of years, Mooney's been building their program back up a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know. See, I hate to say anything negative because Coach Fecco won 5 state championships, and so.
But was I being negative on that?
No. I'm just saying that I've said they're building it back up means it was down. And,
no. From the first year well, I don't even know if it was the first year.
Yeah, it was.
But it was up there, and it seemed like there was a little bit of confusion going on their end.
Well, but that was because, if you remember right, Coach Pelini got the job at the end of July. So he
had a lot of time to
he
sit
had
his
like 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And we opened with them, and it was COVID, so it was all kind of things
that was
at
a tough
once.
year for everybody.
Yeah, but teams are going to have, look at our record from 96 to 98. 96, 97, 98. We never made the playoffs, but that didn't mean we stunk. We had a tough go for it, but and maybe they went through the same couple years, but and sometimes you change, like in 90, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, we had change in coordinator, so that slows you down a little bit. Then we went through the same thing again. Then we went through the same, there's different reasons why different things happen, and but Mooney's always been, I'm not saying they're undefeated good every year, but Mooney's, if you don't respect them, then they're going to smack you right in your teeth.
Yeah, they were definitely.
And I want my teeth.
Well, I know you do, and you hark back on some of the things. Going back to Mooney was one of the few teams that seemed like they gotten the best of us over the years. I know you.
They smacked us around, man.
I know you look forward to getting back at just a little get back.
No, I don't. I really. And as a matter of fact, Bo Pelini, who's Carl's brother, spent a couple of days with us down here helping us with putting our defense in, because he did the same at Nebraska. And if you look at his record at Nebraska, he averaged 9.5 wins a year. They fired him.
Wasn't
and they
good enough.
Won 3 games.
Wasn't
since,
good enough. Now they're still trying to get back to winning 9 games again. But
that's going to be a while off. I think Matt Rule might be getting that job.
Coach, you talk about the games on Saturday, and Mooney plays at Mineral Ridge. Are you familiar with that field and stadium?
In 1972, we had a scrimmage here when I was at United Local, and that's the last time I saw it. But watching it on film, it's a really nice stadium.
The Golden Eagles, United Local.
Yeah, the Screaming Eagles. We changed, San Francisco changed the name from Golden Eagles to Screaming Eagles. But no, I'm just kidding. But I got a text from Sam. As a matter of fact, he said if he'd have got hired at Big Red and then I followed him, we'd have had 3 or 4 more state championships.
Of course he did.
Yeah, that sounds like Sammy.
He's my man. I mean, he gave me my opportunity. So he gave me my first opportunity, and Dr. Keenan and Bill Bourne gave me my second. So.
That's right. You got to remember where the good times come from. But we wish you the best of luck, Coach. And
thank you, man.
And we're going to finish up here.
Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely. This section was brought to you by Fort Steuben Maintenance. That's it for the Reno Saccoccia Coaches Show, and Andrew Connor's coming up next. Good luck, Coach.
Good luck, Coach.
Good luck to Andrew and those guys. I'd like to see the Valley teams win, and I don't know how he went through last year playing 9 away games, but he made it, so God bless him.
All right, Coach,
got a sidewalk that needs replaced, or maybe your roof is leaking.
Can I end with this? I got to end with this all the time when he's here. Jimmy Mack, I begged him to play football. He says, Coach, here's what he's told me in study hall. I said, Jimmy Mack, I said, you're a good basketball player and a really good baseball player. I said, but I think you should play football. You know what he told me? Coach, I'm too pretty, and Coach Watt would be mad at me.
That's right.
How about some new windows? Who do you call? Fort Steuben Maintenance, that's who. Commercial or residential, they can handle most any project, big or small. They also do new construction and renovations. So get a free estimate by calling Fort Steuben Maintenance today and get them started on your next project. 740-283-4890 for Fort Steuben Maintenance.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at OhioValleySportsOnline.com. It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
I can't believe we have to make this commercial.
It's ridiculous.
You'll think it's ridiculous too. Listen to this.
This commercial is about, well, it's about parents being rude at high school athletic events.
Ridiculous, right?
It gets worse. Studies show more than 75% of new high school officials are quitting because of bad adult behavior.
So now there's a shortage of refs here in Ohio, in almost all sports.
No officials means no more games.
Is that what you want for us?
Come on, parents.
It's time to grow up.
Cheer for your team.
Be proud of your children.
But stop being so ridiculous.
And don't make us run another commercial.
Because we will.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, reminding you to always practice good sportsmanship.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bove ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
And we're back here at Bennigan's, High Valley Sports Online, bringing you the Coaches Show. This session brought to you by Everhart Bove, Indian Creek High School head coach, Andrew Hard Knocks Connor. Coach, tough one this week.
It was. Again, I sound like a broken record, but, it's something I believe when I'm saying it is, I know when you look at the final score, you'd say, well, the game was bad or it was never close, but we had the game 14-7 with about 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. We had forced a punt. We misplayed the punt down inside our 10, gave them the ball right there. They went in and scored, and then we just kind of when that levee breaks, sometimes it breaks, and kind of broke for us. And but I was proud of the kids. I thought they played hard, and like I said, I know people probably get tired of listening to that, but I really do believe, again, we were in a ball game with a really good football team, and things just didn't go our way. And, we needed to get a big play, and instead, we kind of hurt ourselves and gave, Beaver a big play.
Coach, you want to talk about sounding like a broken record, some things are the way they are. I mean, it's not like you're trying to make anything up, but I wanted to tell you, I got an opportunity to talk to my good friend Joe Dunleavy this week. We had a nice long conversation about a lot of things, and one of them was you. And he said, Raymond, he goes, I want to tell you something. He goes, I don't care if he's been here a year or 20 years. He said he's the hardest working coach. He goes, when you watch him coach, he said you wouldn't know whether he was 8-1 or 1-8. He said he breaks down film. He said he loves these kids, and he was just raving with his compliments about you. So in case you think maybe your job was on the line, I wanted to let you know that. But Joe Dunleavy is a man that I respect. he's given his entire, like he's given his entire life to Indian Creek, and he thinks the world of you. So, I wanted to tell you that because right now I know you ain't looking for friends. I know you ain't looking for pity because it's an island that we're on, Coach. I mean, it's an island that we're on, and you're on that island, and I know you're just trying to swim. That's all. And you got young kids, and Beaver Local, when you said the dam broke, it broke. And they're a pretty good football team.
They are, and Coach McKenzie, does a really good job with them, and he had them ready. I mean, they do a lot of things. They do it well, and they put us in some bad situations, both on offense and defense, and their kids made the most of it. But again, first of all, to address the first thing you said, it means a lot to me that Joe thinks that because, when you talk about Ohio Valley coaches, there's no one that I'd match up that works harder than Joe D does. I mean, Coach D is, not only is he a great basketball coach, but I've been blessed to have him as my boss, as athletic director, and whatever I need, whatever I don't need, Coach D is always there. And I know that one of the things he thinks I must not realize is that after a loss, Joe would just mill around in the locker room, acting like he's doing something, but really what he's doing is sitting there with me to make sure that my shoestrings or belt don't become something that they shouldn't be. And and I can't thank him enough for that. I mean, he could bail out of there right away and go home. He doesn't, and he's the guy that drives to the away games to make sure there's a car there in case something would happen. I mean, he just does all the little things. So to know that I still rank up there with him. I know the list of people I rank high with can't be very high at this point. So it does mean a lot that he thinks that of me.
Well, I wanted to tell you that. Other than the fact that it's been consistent for you all year, you coming in here and telling us your kids are playing hard and they're giving you everything they got. Any other positives you could put your finger on?
Well, I mean, for us, I thought, the second half, we had a nice series where we went down and scored, and it was off a pass play, which I think is important because we're trying to develop our passing game, and so that was important for us. And I thought, defensively, we've had our share of, things go wrong for us when it comes to, team throwing the ball against us. And I thought that, we did some good things early in the game, mixing up some stunts, getting some pressure, covering their guys. And again, I'll go back to the Blair game. You're talking about receivers that are really good. They're older receivers. They're fast. And I think our DBs, have done a pretty good job of matching up with them. And, I thought this week our stunting and our, defensive line did a really good job of providing pressure. And again, on the offensive side of the ball, I think, that second half, that young offensive line, they could have said, well, we're not moving the ball, things aren't going well. But, they still fought in the second half. And, I thought that, technique-wise and, just their ability to get after it still showed in the second half. I was proud of that drive. We went down and scored. And, and I think that's a little thing sometimes that you're looking for. I mean, in a game where, it gets away from you as fast as that one got away from us in that last part of the second quarter, I still think, we went to half. The kids were still listening. There were kids in the locker room at halftime, still saying, hey, we're not done. We got to keep playing. Coaches still went at it like it was a 7-point game. Everybody was doing their breakdowns and trying to come up with things that we could do to make adjustments. So, I know the effort on both the assistant coaches and the kids are there. We just got to keep going. I mean, the big thing for me is, you shouldn't be able to tell when you look at us what our record is. And I still think right now, other than some, plays that we give up or plays we may not make, you wouldn't be able to tell that we are right now, going through the, the losing streak that we're going through.
Coach, piggybacking on that, what do you do as a coaching staff, like to keep your kids involved and keep them upbeat, looking forward to next week and staying the course and trying to get back on the winning track and keeping positive about, the next game and the preparation for the week to come?
Honesty. I think it's honesty. I think when you get to, be a head coach for, 15, 20, 25 years or more, I think one thing you learn as a coach, they can read you. So you be honest. I mean, you be honest about what they've done wrong. You don't have to belittle them. You don't have to do anything other because, I mean, they're in this with me. They feel just as bad for me as I feel for them, and that's that relationship. I think, you could keep doing this with kids as long as they realize that you have skin in the game, that, you take it as serious. You're working hard. You're not mailing in on them. If they see me not doing all the little things that I hope I'm doing always, then they're going to figure out. I mean, kids today know one thing. They can figure out a fraud. They can figure out a guy that's not being honest with them. And I tell them the truth. I mean, I'm honest with them at practice. I'm honest with them in the locker room. I tell them the truth after the game. I mean, I always tell the kids, I treat them the same as I treat my son Zach or my daughter Chelsea, and that is I tell them the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. But you don't have to be derogatory or you have to be mean about it. You just tell them the truth. And I tell them, if you want to get better in life, you need somebody that's willing to tell you the truth. I mean, everybody wants to surround themselves with people that tell you what you want to hear, and that doesn't do any good. I mean, if everybody around you is telling you you're doing a good job, then why work? Why get better? Why go to practice? I mean, so, you don't have to be belligerent. You don't have to say, you're the worst kid ever coached or something, but you could tell them the truth. And I think, the kids have responded well to that, and, I think they know that, I'm not in this anymore. And I'm sure most coaches that have been doing this as long as I have would tell you this. When you first start, you're worried about, what Ray was joking about, which I hope was a joke, that, I was on the chopping block somewhere. But, I think when you're younger, you do worry about that. You're worried about somebody walking in saying, hey, it's over, it's done. I think when you get older, you realize even if they would do that, as long as you can look at your kids and say, I did the best I could for you in all aspects, not just the football part of it, but in life lessons and trying to do the right thing by you and trying to stick there and trying to mold you into somebody that you can become, somebody better than who you are right now, then you did your job. I think that's what I'm trying to do, just finish out doing my job in these next 2 weeks and tell the kids, hey, it's easy when you're winning. Everybody's saying good things about you. Everybody's in the stands cheering. Everybody's telling you at school you're the best. It's tough going through what we're going through, and hopefully this will make them better people, not only for football, but, when they face something big, and everybody's going to face something big in their life, you just hope that these moments are help mold them into being able to do that. Yep.
Well, Coach, you're preaching right there, man, because everything you said, I got a stamp on it for the mere fact of honesty is the best policy. And I hope for you and your team that your kids continue to believe we're almost there. If it ain't going to be this year, we're going to come back and be a veteran team next year or a better team next year. So I hope for you that's all, that's all part of the whole process for them, because kids got to have something to believe in.
The other thing we tell them, we're in a perfect scenario right now. I mean, we're coming home for 2 games. We're playing 2 of our biggest rivals in Harrison Central and Edison. The stadium's going to be packed on both nights. Both teams that we're playing are fighting for playoffs or, in Edison's case, maybe an undefeated season. There's nothing better in life than when someone says, there's no chance, or you're the underdog, or, you have nothing to play for. I think sometimes you should embrace the fact that you're an underdog and you work to do the best you can as an underdog. And I told him, both games, no one's going to think you have a chance to win other than the people in the room. So you got to work hard, believe in it, stick together, and let's see what happens. I mean, here's the thing. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. And I told our kids, why does it have to be us on the bad end of this? Why can't we be on the better end of this? And I told them, I still believe we're close. I still believe we work hard and we keep doing the little things right and just not make the big mistakes sometimes that kill us in a game. Hey, who knows?
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. And you said something earlier in the year, that has come true. Like every week seems to be like a rivalry game for you. So that may be motivation in itself, to help these kids try and get over the hump. You got Harrison Central coming in, a big game for you. Then you got Edison, another big game, followed by all the games that you've played. So hopefully you're growing. And we're going to come back and talk about Harrison Central here. We're going to take our break with Andrew Carner. Section is brought to you by Everhart Bow Funeral Home.
Got a sidewalk that needs replaced, or maybe your roof is leaking? How about some new windows? Who do you call?
Everhart Bow Funeral Home. They believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bow ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bow Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bow Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
How do you define strength? Is it physical? Or is it mental? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's whatever empowers a person to dig deeper, fight harder, and overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Discover how much stronger and more confident your children can be. Encourage them to participate in a sport when they go to high school.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
I can't believe we have to make this commercial.
It's ridiculous.
You'll think it's ridiculous too. Listen to this.
This commercial is about, well, it's about parents being rude at high school athletic events.
Ridiculous, right?
It gets worse. Studies show more than 75% of new high school officials are quitting because of bad adult behavior.
So now there's a shortage of refs here in Ohio, in almost all sports.
No officials means no more games.
Is that what you want for us?
Come on, parents.
It's time to grow up.
Cheer for your team.
Be proud of your children.
But stop being so ridiculous.
And don't make us run another commercial.
Because we will.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, reminding you to always practice good sportsmanship.
We're back at Bennigan's at High Valley Sports Online, bringing you the Coaches Show. Our second session here, Indian Creek High School head football coach Andrew Connor. Coach, got another rivalry coming up, big game for you. Your kids will be up and ready, I'm sure. Harrison Central, would you tell us about them?
Well, I think, first off, Coach Hayes, Anthony's been out there now, and you could tell that he's put his stamp on his football program. They're physical, they get after it. They play hard. We had a really good game last year out there. Place came down to right to the end. They were able to beat us at the end. I think the rivalry between us and Harrison has been really good over the course of the time that I've been in Indian Creek. It's been usually a one-score game, one way or the other, so that's what you want in a rivalry. Right now, to me, Harrison, they like to spread out, and from that spread look, whether it is trips one way or spread one way, they like to, spread you out so their quarterback can run, he can throw, or they can run the football. And they got two really nice-sized running backs they give the ball to. I think their quarterback is just as good, running with the football as he is throwing the football. And so they got a big offensive line out in front. So they do what they like, which is, like I said, spread you out. And then from that moment, then they get to decide whether if you put too many guys in the box to stop the run, they throw it, or vice versa. So, we're going to have our hands full there. And defensively, they have an odd stack defense. And, again, they get to the ball. They're physical. They like to hit. And it's going to be a test for our young offensive line on whether or not they can move that odd stack. And when you have that odd stack, you got so many guys coming from different angles. That could be somewhat confusing for our line to pick up the right guys. So, we need to be, efficient on both sides. We need to have some really good drives offensively and defensively. The thing I've been preaching all year, we got to get some 3-and-outs and try to tip the field in our favor to try to help us out. And, obviously the greatest thing for us at home would be, get out to a good start and get on the board early, and then try to build up some momentum and try to feed off of that at home. That would go a long way for us.
Coach, you mentioned previously, in some of the coaches show about how important it is for you first down. Harrison Central, I believe their record's 4-4. Are their opponents comparable with yours? You guys play the same teams?
We played Beaver. They played Beaver. We played East Liverpool. They've played East Liverpool. And I think that's kind of where the comparison kind of ends with the whole thing there. So, but it's been comparable games in both games when we played. I think we're both at that point. When you look at it, we're both 1-1 against those teams. And so, again, they're a lot like us. They're kind of a county school like we are.
Are they young, Coach?
They are. They play some young kids too. I mean, this is probably the closest we've been in maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks of playing a team that at least has some young guys that aren't all seniors, but they're main guys. They're older guys. I mean, they got some experience there, but they blend in some younger kids. They don't count on younger kids probably as much as we count on them, but it should help us a little bit. I think it'll bring them back to us a little bit on the youth, that part of it. I mean, that'll be important for us. Maybe they'll make some of the same youthful mistakes that we sometimes make. When kids are trying so hard that when you're in that situation, in your first year out, sometimes that pressure can build on you a little bit. You do things maybe you wouldn't naturally do when you're a junior or senior, so that could help us some, yes.
Well, see, I think that's a big statement that you made in the fact that they're young, but they don't depend on the youth like you depend on the youth. Have you been improving on winning in that first down? Because I know you need them 3 and outs just to give you some confidence.
I think we
sometimes slip the field.
I think we have. I mean, we've been. I think from the Blair game on, we've had. I think we've been getting 4 or 5 3 and outs a game now. The problem for us is it's not basically getting those 3 and outs. It's that on the other downs, instead of saying, well, we give up 7 or 8 plays in a punt, we give up a touchdown. That's been hurting us. We're giving up 32 points a game, and so it falls on me because I call the defenses too. But I think we have improved. I think our tackling's gotten better. I think we get to the ball a little bit better. I think we're understanding our defense. And the one thing that I tried a lot this year was not to go away from what we do, so that at least in the off season when we start to go back and look at things, we don't say we did a million things and did none of them well. I do believe that some of the things we're doing right now defensively we are getting better at, and that will be something we can start in the off season and next year with, that we have some sort of foundation there. And I think offensively we've done well running the football, and I think our passing game to this point has always been a work in progress, and that's something, hopefully, as we go on here in the last couple of games, maybe we can make just a little bit of improvement there so you don't slide that, 8th, 9th, 10th guy into the box. Right. That makes it really hard on coach, to call plays if there's, 13 or 14 guys, it looks like sometimes within 2 yards of the ball.
That has to be a big concern for you because every week, you talk about your passing game being a work in progress, and even though it is improving, it's not improving to the point that you can get some people out of the box. And how's your tailback's health holding up?
It's great. I mean, I will say one thing. Being around Zion, there's no such thing as too many carries in his eyes. There's no such thing as, whatever we want him to do running the ball. I mean, he's always, smiling, always working hard, and he's really become, and a lot of our sophomores have really kind of stepped into the role of, as we've gone down these last 3 or 4 games, kind of emerging now that they've been playing, and some of these guys have played as freshmen, now they're in their sophomore year. They've kind of, I could see some growth in them, which will help us next year because, you're going to need leaders, and I think some of these guys have now seen, 15, 16, 17 games, and I think they're starting to, do some of the little things you want in leadership. So I've been really impressed with, Zion or Caleb, Bodo, or Justin Vergona, because it's tough if you're a sophomore and you're speaking out. I mean, most schools, most teams, if you were a sophomore, you wouldn't say anything. I mean, you would be happy you were playing, and that'd be it. I mean, so, to try to take that role and know that you're 2 grades down from the kids, some of the kids that may be playing in front of you or playing with you, that's pretty tough. And I've been really impressed with that. And I think that's something that's important because, in the offseason, if we're going to make a turn here, we need to have a great offseason too. And that starts with, guys in the weight room, guys taking charge. And I've seen a lot more of that as we've gone down these last 2 or 3 games where some of the young guys are now saying, hey, it's my turn. I got to say something. Hey, we need to get this going. Coach is right. It can't be always coach-driven. So I've been really impressed with that, and I think that's going to be something we're going to count on here in the last 2 games.
Well, I hate to single anybody out, but you mentioned one kid that I've been totally impressed with. I watched him in baseball, basketball, and now football, and that's the sophomore Bodo. I mean, this kid, I'll tell you, he really contributes to the varsity level, and that's a good thing coming for you.
It is. I mean, we've been blessed. I mean, whether it's Caleb or the rest of that sophomore and some of our freshmen. I mean, again, we've mentioned this. As we've gone through the year here doing this show, it is hard enough to get sophomores and freshmen to be contributors. We're asking some of our freshmen and sophomores to be key members of what we're doing right now, and that takes a lot. I mean, not only does it take itself physically, but mentally to say, hey, we need you to be a leader. We need you to carry the ball. We need you to be that guy. And that's, usually you ask your junior or a senior to do that. We've asked them to kind of grow up quickly and they've responded well. I really do believe that. I think when you look at them, for as beat up as they are, playing varsity football right now, you'd never know that. Again, practice today, those guys were talking and they were saying, hey, this is our night, and it makes you feel good as a coach because it can't always be me or the other coaches saying, hey, we got an opportunity. They got to believe they got an opportunity. I really do think that right now they feel like they got an opportunity, something special. They're coming home. It's been a 4-game, streak there on the road, and we're back in the confines of Kettlewell Stadium, and I think they feel like maybe they can make a little magic down the stretch here in these last 2 games, and it's got to be from them. If we're going to do anything, it's got to be driven from them, and I feel like there's something there at practice right now where they're focused in where maybe other teams that 1-7 may have checked out and said, hey, wrestling or basketball's coming. I don't get that vibe, and I've been doing this for a long time. I feel like they're still committed to what they started. And I think that's an important thing. We talk all the time. You got to finish what you start, whether it's a game, a play, whatever it may be, a season. I think they bought in on that, and I think that's an impressive part of where we're at. And I think it's impressive for our kids and our parents that they're all still focused in on, making sure that Indian Creek is well represented on Friday nights.
Well, that's beautiful. When you talk about them freshmen and sophomores, tell us some of the names, Coach, of these kids. Tell us some of your freshmen and sophomores that have been taking that pounding and giving you everything they got. Who are they?
Well, it's hard to think because, I don't want to miss nobody. We've had probably,
Give us a few, and I'll take the blame if you miss anybody.
I would say, in the sophomore class, we've started 2 sophomore linebackers in Caden Manlittle and Justin Vergona. We've started, Caleb Bodo, the defensive end for us. In our secondary, we've started, last week we had to put in Xavier Vines. He's a freshman, had to play some there for us. We played Mason Lester, and we've also played on our linebacking core Gavin Pinnell, who's a freshman. Our offensive line's all been sophomores and freshmen all year. Luke McMillian, Brennan Monroe, Enzo Elagio. Peyton Dalguzzi's out right now, but he was playing a lot for us at one time. We've just been playing a lot of younger kids at this point, and those kids have really kind of stepped up and then played vital roles because you're talking about not just going in and out. They're not just specialty guys. You're talking about guys getting big reps. Right now our 2 leading tacklers is a freshman, and we have a sophomore, and that's a lot to say. Your 2 guys that are leading in tackles are a sophomore and a freshman. It makes you feel good. It makes me feel good that maybe I won't screw that up down the road calling defenses. That
I'll let you know if you do.
That I can stop somebody here down the road. But again, my biggest 2 things for me is not only have our freshman and sophomore play well, but as I look out in the audience, I got some coaches here today, and I know that when you're sitting in the stands and you think we're down here, kind of grab bagging or just doing whatever we want to do. I want to send a shout out here because, I'm blessed because I got a loyal staff. All of them except Doug, have played for me. Doug's older than me, so he couldn't have played for me. But the rest of those guys all played for me. It means something. I think it means something to the kids when they look and see my staff and say, what, those guys are willing to come back. And, we have our coaches meeting on Sundays. We put in 3.5 hours at my house. Those guys never complain. They don't look to try to get out of it. This would be the year. You're 1-8, you're 1-7 right now, and you're thinking, hey, why are we doing this? And they still come, they still bring ideas, and still practice real hard. So, I've been blessed with a great group of kids, and I've been blessed with, a great coaching staff. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, and an unbelievable wife who's hung in there with me because this has been a really tough year on me. And my kids have been great for me and my wife. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about that as well.
Beautiful, Coach. Well, I'll tell you, the future looks bright for you. Wish you all the luck, and hope you get a win this week, Coach. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
High Valley Sports Online, that's our second session, the Coach's Show. We'll be right back with Coach Josh Frankie of Toronto.
Thanks, Everhart Bow Funeral Home, for sponsoring Indian Creek head coach Andrew Connor on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
This high school event is brought to you by AT&T on Sunset via the AT&T Wireless Network. Remember, don't text and drive, it can wait. AT&T on Sunset is a proud sponsor of this high school event. The J.E. Foster Funeral Home has been proudly serving the communities of Toronto and Smithfield and all of Jefferson County for over 30 years. They are a family-owned funeral home, and they offer funeral and cremation services tailored to meet your needs, and they do so with professionalism, compassion, dignity, and respect. Jeff and Jay Foster would like to wish the best of luck to Toronto Red Knights and all of the teams up and down the Ohio Valley. If you or someone you know would like more information on how their family can help you guide your family in this time of need, please visit their website, www.jefosterfh.com. That is www.jefosterfh.com. Their motto, our emphasis on family carries over to yours. J.E. Foster Funeral Home, a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show.
A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too, only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Ohio, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Thanks, J.E. Foster Funeral Home, for sponsoring Toronto Red Knights head football coach Josh Franke on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
I can't believe we have to make this commercial.
It's ridiculous.
You'll think it's ridiculous too. Listen to this.
This commercial is about, well, it's about parents being rude at high school athletic events.
Ridiculous, right?
It gets worse. Studies show more than 75% of new high school officials are quitting because of bad adult behavior.
So now there's a shortage of refs here in Ohio, in almost all sports.
No officials means no more games.
Is that what you want for us?
Come on, parents.
It's time to grow up.
Cheer for your team.
Be proud of your children.
But stop being so ridiculous.
And don't make us run another commercial.
Because we will.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, reminding you to always practice good sportsmanship.
And we're back here at Ohio Valley Sports Online, here at Bennigan's, the Coaches Show, the Toronto Red Knight Coaches Show, featuring Coach Josh Reinke, sponsored by J.E. Foster Funeral Home. Coach, good to have you as always. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me,
man.
And we know you had a rough few weeks, but then
we did.
You got there Saturday night, went over there and took care of business in a big way.
Yeah, it was. Listen, we needed that one. Get our confidence back up. Get our kids back believing in themselves. I mean, it's when you're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-olds, their confidence in themselves and what they believe they can do can fluctuate pretty quickly. So, you get on a losing streak and you get a little nervous that, can you bounce back? How are they going to respond to that? And it just, it's always good to see your team respond in a positive manner after having a couple bad weeks and really get back on track.
Coach, so what do you do to your team, and how do you keep them upbeat after you get hit with the injury bug that you've gotten hit with? I mean, I know – most teams, when they go through injury bugs like that, they get deflated a little bit. How do you keep your kids all upbeat and looking forward?
Honestly, we're just realistic with them. Like, hey guys, listen, this is where we're at right now. We're playing 4 or 5 freshmen. We are playing 2 undefeated Division 5 schools. Like, you kind of just put them in perspective of like, we went up and we heard, and I mentioned this last week, we heard the Eastern Michigan head coach, Coach Creighton, speak, and he had something that was kind of really valuable that I kind of took to heart, and he talked about avoiding the noise, and whether that noise is about everyone telling you how good you are or everyone telling you how much you suck, it never's true. Neither one of those are ever true. So, and that's kind of like what we try to relate to our kids, just not so bluntly. It's like, guys, it's not as bad as what it may seem right now, and we just have to keep pushing through. We've kind of adopted a motto for this year, which was hold fast. And hold fast is an old sailor's term. When you're going through hurricanes and rough tropical storms on ships, they would say hold fast, and basically it means to secure yourself to make sure that you're protected, but then with your other hand, grab somebody else on the ship and make sure they're secure and protected. And together, by holding on to somebody else, we're going to make sure this whole crew gets through the storm. And we didn't know that. We didn't have the foresight before the season started that how much we would need that motto of hold fast. And that's something we've been able to go back to and be like, guys, listen, we're going through the storm right now. We need to hold fast. You need to grab on and hold on for yourself, but you also need to grab the guy next to you and make sure you're pulling them through the storm with you. So that's how you get through those hard patches. You get through as a team. You know what I mean? Like, you get through it as a team. You can't turn on one another. You can't start pointing fingers, which, I mean, listen, we were close to doing. There was a couple times where I was a little worried, but kids bounce back. They're resilient, and, they kept practicing. We had the last 2 weeks of practices have been great. So they pushed through those hard times and still kind of went back and got to work. So that's what you want to see.
I got to ask you, Coach, Saturday night, you go out, you score, don't get the 2-point conversion, and they get lucky, they hit that pass where somehow they got behind the defensive back, and they end up getting that quick score, and they make the extra point. What was it what do you immediately say to the kids right then and there, to avoid that, here we go,
Well, I mean,
type of thinking.
And before we went out of the locker room, every week you're trying to think of a pregame speech. You're going to talk to these kids and tell them something they haven't heard yet or something you haven't said yet. And, we talked about Saturday night before we went out there about the quicksand. And we talked about that on the last week's shows, the quicksand, and you get stuck and something bad happens and everyone tries to do somebody else's job and everyone kind of panics, and that's the worst thing you can do in quicksand because it just makes it worse. So I think, going into that game, hearing that right before we went out of the locker room is like, listen, something's going to go wrong. You cannot panic. You cannot try and do anyone else's job. You just got to keep doing your job. That's the strategy. Do your job. Don't try to do more than what we're asking you to do. Trust each other. Bad things are going to happen. You just can't panic and try to do too much. And I think and we talked last week, I think that's been our Achilles heel. The 3 weeks we were losing was something bad would happen. Everyone would try to do too much, and then, you just have a complete collapse when that happens. So.
No, okay, then you didn't panic. You go right back, stop them, and then after that it was just a onslaught of Zeb Kinsey, sprinkle in some Dom Booster, sprinkle in some, quick passes. But what was it that you saw that said, you know what, we're going to be able to do this and do it very well all game?
It wasn't necessarily something we saw as much as it was, Zeb came to me late, or it's kind of mid last week, and said, how much do you think I'm going to run this week? I said, well, how much do you feel up to run it? Because he's been battling through some injuries. He said, I don't care, give it to me 30, 40 times. when he said that, I was, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I feel good. I feel like I felt the first couple weeks. I said, oh, well, okay, like if that's the game plan. So, we ran some formations we hadn't been in yet. We ran in that pistol with the two up backs, a little fullback look there. Madonna had not seen that on film, and we had a lot of success out of that formation. So it was one of those things where, they didn't plan for it. We had a couple of things drawn up out of that. I think you had to account for both Zeb and Dom running the ball, that formation. It's not your traditional look that you see every week. So Kids that are, again, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, they can become easily confused, and you can kind of get them out of position. I think we just took advantage of a couple unique formations, and then, at the end of the day, and this is the other thing we talk to our kids about, you're coming off a stint where you've played 2 Division IV schools and 2 Division V schools.
Yes.
And 2 Division V schools are undefeated, and you've taken a pounding. And we tell our kids, listen, we're playing these teams, so when you see teams that are your size, you're the one doing the pounding. You know what I mean? And I think you saw that come out Saturday. Like, you saw a team that was more physical, more aggressive than the opposition, and I think our schedule has a lot to do with that. And, that's the football in the past 4 weeks they've become accustomed to. So I think that definitely has paid dividends to us on Saturday.
Coach, how big of a joy to coach like athletes like Zeb and Dom at that level? Like you're saying, you're coming off all this adversity, and these teams are just like beating you up pretty good, and all of a sudden, you got a game coming up this week, and you're like, hey, how much can we use you? And he said, give me the ball 30 or 40 times. Like, what's that mean to you, like you as a coach in your program?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, athletically, it makes my job a lot easier when you have kids like that, because they can do special things that, your typical high school football player can't do. And we're just fortunate that we have a couple of those kids on our team. But then you also have, this has been one of the, as far as character of a team, this has been one of the best character teams I've ever had, where kids they're selfless. They want to win. That's what the bottom line is. They just want to win, and they're going to do whatever they ask you to do. We have had very little to no complaining this year. You tell these kids to do something, they're going to do it. Doesn't matter if you're conditioning or you're running them or you're disciplining them. They're going to do it, and that makes your job easier. That makes you're not having to focus on the management of a team as much as you are focusing on coaching football. And when you have kids like that are just like, hey, listen, Zeb is a quarterback at heart. He wants to throw the ball, and he wants people to know that he can throw the ball. But it's like I told him Saturday, I'm like, listen, man, they can't stop you running the ball. So, like, why? We don't have to throw the ball, because he wanted to air it out. But I'm like, Zeb, we don't have to. They're not stopping. Yeah, they're not stopping you. Yep. You're not stopping what we're doing. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. And can we do that all throughout the playoffs and, take that to a state championship? Probably not. But when the time comes for him to throw the ball, we can throw the ball. The other thing, too, is Saturday night, we were missing Aiden Philby, who's a receiver, Russ Dickinson, who's a wide receiver, Brody Winters, who's a wide receiver, Zane Kinsey, who, he's a running back, but Dom then goes to wide receiver. So we're missing pretty much our entire starting receiving core outside of Nolan Dickinson, and it's just one of those things where it's like you have 2 great runners, you have a big line, let's run the ball rather than throw the ball when we're missing the majority of our receiving core. So now the nice thing is this week we're getting Zane back, we're getting Russ back, and Aiden Philby's on the way. So that receiving core is starting to become more healthy. And honestly, thank God for that we're about to hit the playoffs, and by week 11 we should be at full strength again. So, I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, we talked about the offensive side of the ball, how you pretty much dominated the game. I mean, they couldn't stop you at all, but also defensively you dominated the game. What was it there that you saw? Because McAllister so far this year has been able to throw the ball and throw it pretty well, but he had no time to throw, and you basically took away everything they tried.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Matt Ludwig, our defensive coordinator. They're a difficult team to plan for as much as they throw the ball. Statistically, our analytics had them throwing the ball 76% of the time. That's a lot for a high school team. So, you're basically preparing for like a college NFL game at that point. We do have athletes, and we have some big interior linemen. We also have some fast interior D linemen as well. And Matt kind of, there was a couple different formations that they ran where we thought we could get away with running what we call 31 defense. And essentially what that is you got 3 D linemen. You put your D ends in the B gaps to prevent inside run, and you have your middle linebacker playing in there, and you you have your outside your Sam and your Will linebackers kind of contain the outside edges there on any outside runs, and a lot of times you're sending them. If it's pass plays, like, hey, go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we were doing. But he drew that up, and that's something that we rely on a lot when we play heavy passing teams. We put Zeb Kinsey back at safety to get us an athlete back there that could kind of roam. Don Boucher, we put him on their 6'5" kid and said, hey, he's yours the whole night. Lock him down. And listen, Don was an all-state corner as a sophomore. So we knew, like, hey, you go to him, he's probably not going to catch a pass. And we have that confidence in Don. He's a Division I athlete, So doing that, and it's kind of funny, I was on Twitter Monday, and I obviously follow a lot of other coaches, and actually realized that the Eagles are running a very similar version of the defense we ran Saturday night. Sweet. So that's cool for our kids, because it's like you can send that to the kids and be like, guys, listen, you guys Saturday night are running the same defense Philadelphia Eagles are running and having success with. So, and that translates to our kids. They're like, you know what? It kind of gives them more faith in the scheme and philosophy. Like, hey, here we are, little Division VII Toronto, and we're running an NFL defense right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
And that's cool for our kids to be able to see, like, hey, they're getting prepared to play football at a higher level, and we take pride in that and being able to coach our kids up that way. So,
I got to ask you too. All phases of the game, that fake punt. I wonder, was it called, or he just? I know you guys.
So Aiden Philby's our punter, and he's been hurt since the Edison game, and so Dom can kind of rugby style kick a little bit. So we put this fake punt in, and Dom is a very intelligent person. He's also very literal, and it's designed in the fact that it's like I told Dom when we put him, like, hey, if you ever think you can get it, then just go and get it. Just go. So. Of course, Saturday. Well, he first off against Barnesville was right before halftime, and we're pinned deep in our territory, and it was like 4th and 13, and he took off then too and busted like a 43-yard run. So, Friday or Saturday night he went out there, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm on the sideline. The way I saw it, they overloaded the left side away from where he was rugby style punting. And when I saw them line up that way, I knew he was taking that ball. And I didn't think he would score a touchdown, but it was wide open, and I knew he was going to run it, and sure enough, he did. And that's not a call. That's just the player is on the field saying, knowing his ability and being like, I have this, So you can't really be mad at the kid, and he's a threat. I mean, he is like he is a special teams weapon, man. Like kick return, punt return. Now he's the threat to run on a punt. I mean, he is our special teams weapon. And when you look at it, opposing defenses have to plan for that. You know what I mean? Like they have to plan for him to take off and run that punt. So it makes it just another facet of our scheme that you have to plan for, and it makes him a little bit more dangerous. So
that's excellent. That was a great win Saturday night, and it was great when we got to actually call that game and be there and witness it. So congratulations. And with that, we're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about this week's opponent, Pymatuning Valley. Yeah. Okay, I cannot pronounce that right. You're here with Coach Josh Frank and the Toronto Red Knights on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
The J.E. Foster Funeral Home has been proudly serving the communities of Toronto and Smithfield and all of Jefferson County for over 30 years. They are a family-owned funeral home, and they offer funeral and cremation services tailored to meet your needs, and they do so with professionalism, compassion, dignity, and respect. Jeff and Jay Foster would like to wish the best of luck to Toronto Red Knights and all of the teams up and down the Ohio Valley. If you or someone you know would like more information on how their family can help you guide your family in this time of need, please visit their website, www.jefosterfh.com. That is www.jefosterfh.com. Their motto, our emphasis on family, carries over to yours. J.E. Foster Funeral Home, a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
Thanks J.E. Foster Funeral Home for sponsoring Toronto Red Knights head football coach Josh Franke on the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show.
This is Jerry Snodgrass, Executive Director of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. One of my long-standing goals is to help people understand that high school sports are about so much more than wins and losses. The OHSAA promotes education-based athletics, where sports are an extension of the classroom. Our schools all want to win. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it's all about sportsmanship, leadership, and making certain that academics are a priority. Thank you for your support of high school sports in Ohio.
Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at ohiovalleysportsonline.com. It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams.
So we're back here at Bennigan's. It's Coach Reinke. And, Coach, can you tell us a little something about Pymatuning Valley?
Yeah, so we played them last year. I'm familiar with Coach Croston up there. When I was coaching at Edgewood, Pymatuning Valley was always on the schedule for us. I know that they're pretty, they're a bigger school. They're D6. And when I say bigger school, I'm talking like size kids. They usually have some really good size kids, and they're usually pretty successful during the season. They're around that 500 mark, sometimes a little bit above that. Last year they gave us a heck of a game. We only beat them by 6 last year, held on to win that one. And despite them losing some kids, right now they're sitting at 3-5. They'll come down, and we're fully prepared for them to give us another good game this year. So they'll be a tough opponent. Hopefully get some quality points if we can get a win there, and again challenge us. Get ready for the playoffs.
First thing I got to ask you is, how did you get? This team an hour and 40 minutes away on the schedule is because of the relationship you had?
Yeah. So it was one of those things where I reached out to Neil and said, "Hey Neil, listen, I saw on the state website they had an opening for Week 9. I'm familiar with them. I know what type of football they play. I know how they're coached, and I reached out to Neil and was like, "Hey, we got a Week 9 too. Can we try and get this going and make this happen?" He thought it was a good matchup for them as well because, it's vice versa. If they beat us, they're going to get quality points too. So, it's a good matchup for both of us, and I think it was a no-brainer to get it done. Yeah, you got to travel a little bit, but, I think that's, for me at least, I think that's fun when you play kids that you don't know when they're from somewhere else. I think that's fun. It's a unique experience, and it's fun for the kids that are involved. So,
and I always said, I when we played, as a kid, the part that's not like the adults don't like to travel. They're having to get ready. The kids love to get on the bus and taking off and getting
going somewhere
before
different.
You go somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. So,
what kind of offense do they? What are you looking at? Offense? What do they bring?
So, Coach Croston's son is the quarterback. He's a sophomore. He played some quarterback for him last year. They kind of did some Wildcat stuff, and he played there. He's very athletic. They're going to run him a lot. They have a nice back, 22. He runs behind his pad level. He runs hard. They're going to give you a lot of double tight. Like I said, they have a big line. And it's they're probably 85-90% run. So we expect a lot of QB run. A lot of counter tray, which has kind of been an Achilles heel for us. We've been really focusing on trying to stop that this week and getting our guys coached up on that play specifically. But they're going to run hard. And they're fully content of getting in. They don't have any under center stuff. They're always in the gun. But they're very content with getting 3 and 4 yards all the way down the field. They're not going to take any shot plays or anything like that. They're just going to wear on you, and just sustain drives, keep the ball out of your offense's hands, and try to wear you down.
Coach, like you said, they seem like they run a power eye or a power shotgun, as you said. What do you do to try to get them behind the chains on some of that?
Right. I mean, and listen, we're going to have to be very systematic with our blitz calls. You have to try to create negative plays because they don't want to be behind the sticks. They don't want to be behind schedule. They don't want to be in a 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8 type scenario. They want to try to stay that 3 or 4 yards pace. So if you can create negative plays, you can make it happen. Now, the nice thing is we do have some speed up front. Obviously, I think we're pretty good at applying pressure. So if we can get some of our speed back there, like their line is very big. They have a big, 250, 260-pound lineman. We have some backs that are playing our defensive line spots. So if they can slip through there and create some havoc, and we can time some blitzes up, get them in those long yardage situations where they're forced to throw the ball, that's kind of what you want to do defensively, and that's where we want to be.
No, I was going to say, on the defensive side of the ball, somebody keeps slipping. The defensive side of the ball, what kind of schemes do you see them or remember them having?
So they're a 4-4. They play cover 3 over top. They play cover 1 over top. So this is 2 different types of coverages you're going to get, and very different coverages. Our quarterbacks are going to have to be able to recognize that and understand. A lot of our passing concepts, we have a zone beater built in, and then we have a man beater built in somewhere. Athletically, I think we have the better athletes. The thing with you're running a 4-4 is you obviously have your 4-down linemen, and then you have your outside linebackers. And unless you're running double tight, you almost always have an outside linebacker. Well, you always have an outside linebacker you have to account for. Now, the way you account for them is you either put a tight end there, a wing back there, or you split out a receiver there to try to pull him out of the box too. The last thing you really want to ever do is run a single receiver side where that outside linebacker has no responsibility. He can just blitz off.
He's just crashing down.
So we got to make sure that we account for that outside linebacker through our formations, and I think that's kind of how we build our formations into the packages or the scheme this week. Is making sure we're accounting for both outside linebackers and making sure that we have someone to pick them up in the run game. The other way you can do that too is obviously with a mobile quarterback like Zeb, we're able to read one of the defensive ends. And if we can read one of the defensive ends, then we can have our tight end arc release, or we can have our tackle arc release and pick up outside linebacker. Their ends are not like your prototypical fast edge rush ends. They're more built like offensive tackles. They're big, they're bulky, where you can maybe take advantage of reading them with your quarterback, make for a little bit better reads, and then necessarily you don't have to block that guy. So we have some things built in. I think we can have some success against the defense. They don't want to be spread out. It's just like their offense. They want to just play a physical ball game, and if we can utilize some of our speed, like I said, Zane's back. If we can spread them out and make it a track meet, I think that's where we're going to have success.
That's awesome. Before we're going to wrap up here, but I wanted to ask you about it in the first session, and I get to bring it up. But I just thought it was great to see the guys like Brock Hughes and some of the, how special feelings to get some of the. Cause I know you play a lot of freshmen, but there's some freshmen that you got to get in on a regular basis during that Madonna game, and just how good was the feeling was that?
I mean, it is. And like I said, we have 28 kids on a roster, and every single one of our 28 kids are going to. They've already lettered. Every one of them have already lettered, and I think that's a special thing. It's how often is it that you can be a freshman and get enough varsity playing experience that you letter? I mean, that's not typical, and every one of our kids have. So. You hate having the numbers that you have. You hate having low numbers, but at the same time, it's good because so many kids can get in and get playing experience, and that's going to benefit you in the future. It's it's just one of those things that it's delayed gratification almost, where you're making sacrifices now, but those kids are going to benefit from it, and hopefully you reap the rewards from that later down the line.
Exactly. I got one more question before I let you go. Need a prediction Saturday, Michigan, Penn State.
Michigan, Penn State. Listen, Michigan's building this up to be a huge game, man. They're inviting all these alumni back. They have a ton of big recruits coming in. But listen, I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game. Penn State has a pretty good running back.
Two.
Yeah, I really like the freshman that they have. That
Singleton.
freshman. Yeah, he's good.
Yes, he is.
I didn't watch last week. Is that did they get rid of Clifford? Is the freshman quarterback starting now too?
They benched him, but he came back.
Back in.
Yes.
Listen, I will tell you this. Every year I'm privileged enough to coach the Elite 11 regionals somewhere, and I had Sean Clifford up in Massillon, and let me tell you what, he is an exceptional kid. He didn't know me from anyone, and it was, yes sir, thank you coach, I appreciate it. Like after the camp was over, came up, said, hey coach, I really appreciate everything you did for me today. Like nice. I'm a huge Sean Clifford fan. He's a high character kid. I cannot say enough good things about him. Out of all the years I've done the Elite 11, he has left the biggest impression on me more than anybody. So I want to see Sean have some success, but I want the Wolverines to pull it out.
You still gotta give me your prediction. Give me
all right, let's
4 Michigan guys and then one Columbus guys here.
I'll go with, there's going to be a field goal in there somewhere. I'm going to say 31-21 Michigan.
All right, there you go. I like it, coach.
I like it.
And I'm going to say Red Knights 35, Red Knights 42, Pymatuning Valley 7.
I'll take that, man. We can get out. I'll
like
take it.
I like it also.
That's going to wrap it up with Coach Josh Reinke here at Bennigan's. The Toronto Red Knight Coaches, sponsored by J.E. Foster Funeral Home. We come back, we'll be here with Coach Eric Meek of the Catholic Central Crusaders right after this.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Coach.
The J.E. Foster Funeral Home has been proudly serving the communities of Toronto and Smithfield and all of Jefferson County for over 30 years. They are a family-owned funeral home, and they offer funeral and cremation services tailored to meet your needs, and they do so with professionalism, compassion, dignity, and respect. Jeff and Jay Foster would like to wish the best of luck to Toronto Red Knights and all of the teams up and down the Ohio Valley. If you or someone you know would like more information on how their family can help you guide your family in this time of need, please visit their website, www.jefosterfh.com. That is www.jefosterfh.com. Their motto, our emphasis on family carries over to yours. J.E. Foster Funeral Home, a proud sponsor of the Coaches Show.
A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too. Only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's. Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at ohiovalleysportsonline.com. It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams. A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too. Only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's. Thanks a lot for following us at Ohio Valley Sports Online. Why not visit our webpage at ohiovalleysportsonline.com. It's the way to go for sports fans around the globe to follow your favorite local sports teams.
Class of 86.
And we're back here at Bennigan's. The Steubenville Catholic Central Coaches Show, sponsored by our host, Bennigan's, with Coach Eric Meek. I give a special shout out to Harold Veal, sitting in the stands tonight watching the show. Harold, thanks for coming in. Coach Meek, I called it last week, 2 in a row. We said you'd be back here talking about 2 in a row for the Crusaders, and you did a fantastic job down in Barnesville. We didn't get a chance to go down, or not Barnesville, Bridgeport. Right. We didn't get a chance to go down there, but run us through, from beginning, what happened Saturday night or Friday night. Geez.
Well, the first half was interesting. The defense played really well early on. Offensively, we were moving the ball, and they lined up the punt, and our special teams have just been great all year. B.J. Fallon got back in there, and the ball went over the kid's head into the end zone, and B.J. wrestled the ball off of him, so we went up 7-0. They came right back. Their passing game was pretty explosive. We knew that going into the game, and they hit a big play. And again, our defense, I've been saying, big plays has been kind of the one negative, but there's been many positives with our defense. They didn't attempt any extra points. They always went for 2. They didn't get it. Kept us up 7-6. And then we scored on a counter play, Tommy Purgie, about 45 yards. And they had a penalty on the extra point. And we lined up and went for 2 from the 1.5-yard line and got it. And that put us up 15-6 at the half. And really, the second half was kind of back and forth, no scoring.
Right.
But with a 9-point lead, and we kept getting turnovers. We won the turnover margin 6-1.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of the opposite of a few weeks earlier against Madonna. And they scored late with about 4.5 minutes to go. Got a 2-point conversion, 15-14 now. We get the ball back. They had 2 timeouts at 4.5 minutes. We ran the ball 10 straight times, got some big first downs, grinded it out, and they never got the ball back. So it was a hard-fought victory.
That's awesome. And that just shows, once again, the evolution of, the team from the beginning of the year to now, to the getting into situations where they're pressed a little bit and responding, very well. And it just, like I said, the evolution that you were looking for, it just shows it's coming.
Well, we've been in 3 tight games late in the fourth quarter, and we're 2-1 in those games. And, we could have been 3-0. We could have been 0-3 realistically, but our kids found a way. And, again, when you look back compared to the first couple weeks of the football season, I don't know back then if we would have pulled either one of those games out.
Right.
So.
Did you, offensively, I know you talked about Tommy, and I talked with your offensive coordinator, Coach Grimard, and he just loves the way Tommy's coming along. We were talking the other day, he's a buddy of mine, and about how he's getting the concept and he's coming along. You said he got that counter. I know you have to be happy with his growing presence in that offense.
Yeah. Tommy Purgie did a great job running the ball. B.J. Fallon, our other back. Timmy Mahalio was back there at times kicking out. And Tyler Iolenti had a really nice game running the ball from the quarterback position. And we're kind of now getting into the routine where we can go some wildcat. Obviously, Tyler can do some things out at receiver. And, those 2 kids can throw too.
Yes, you're exactly right. I forget how many. I tried to research this. So I know Bridgeport coming into the game scored a ton of points per game. What was it that you were able to shut them down? Because you say high power.
Yeah,
I mean, they're obviously the turnovers, but
our rushing defense has been very good the last month, really.
Yes.
And we're very proud of the kids. We bring a lot of pressure. We try to disrupt some blocking schemes. And they did. Bridgeport had a lot of yards through the air, but that was a bend but don't break type situation because we didn't give up many points and we got a ton of turnovers.
Right.
And whenever there's turnovers, you can look at it either way, but you got to look at it both ways. You got to, the offense isn't doing something, but the defense, you got to, like when we turned the ball over to Madonna a couple weeks ago, I never said we handed in the game. I just said you can't lose a turnover margin 5-0 against a decent football team and expect to win. But you got to give Madonna's defense credit, just like Friday night. You have to give our defense some credit for all the turnovers.
Yes, and that's because going back even in the Madonna game, your defense played great after the turnovers.
Right.
But it's just a matter of you eventually, after you might stop them the first 3 times, but eventually that's going to, and that's. But to me, like I said, the progression that you see all year, that front 4 has just been, and you said that continued Friday night also? Cause,
Oh, yes. They were all over the ball carrier, and they get penetration, but they also know how to stay home when the coaches tell them when they need to stay home. And, we have some guys that are just done a tremendous job there. Malachi Manley is a senior. Peyton Rauch is a sophomore.
Yes.
We've had Brendan Grimm, who's done a great job. He's a junior. We had a new kid in there this week, Cam Bradley, a sophomore.
Okay, Cam, yeah.
Did a great job. And other guys have been at the tackle, at the end positions as well. We've had Andrew Dorsey. We've had Tyler Ilentai, Braden Rauch at linebacker. We've had several of those guys that I just mentioned at linebacker as well. So we kind of move our guys around and get them in the position that we feel is most beneficial for us.
Coach, what do you attribute to your success of your bend but don't break defense as opposed to the beginning of the year where some of the teams would score
right
a little bit more frequently as they're doing now the last couple games?
Well, it's a multitude of things. In that opening game, and I'm not going to sit here and say, we injuries, use that as an excuse. We had some guys knocked out of game 1 that aren't coming back. It was season end.
Yeah.
And I've said this. I've done this a long time, and I wondered after. I'll never forget coming home from Caldwell on the bus week 2. I was like, is this going to be an 0-10 season? How am I going as a head coach to keep these kids positive? Because we were not a very good football team. But to answer your question, number 1, the hard coaching, but when I say hard coaching, it's not like some people's hard coaching. It's getting on them, expecting, demanding, but the kids know that we care about them. I think they learned to take the hard coaching. I think they learned some schemes in football. I mentioned on this show early in the year, backyard football. That is now going away, and it's fundamental football.
Yep.
And the third thing is the first 2 games, to be quite frank with you, I think this was a part of my worrisome on the bus, that long bus ride home from Caldwell. Those first 2 football games, we were like deer in headlights, and it was on all 3 sides of the ball. The opening kickoff of the Matthews game, they took it back for a touchdown. Now, our special teams has just played wonderful the last 6 weeks or so. So I think it's now we're aggressive, we're having fun, we're understanding the concepts, we're not playing backyard football. We've understood it's a lot more fun of a game to when you're aggressive instead of being back on your heels. And I just think that the kids have really, they didn't quit. A lot of teams, I said when we were what were we, 1-5 at one point a few weeks ago. A lot of teams would pack it and I don't want to go to practice, and not our kids. And we certainly never lost the locker room, and the kids just, they want to keep getting better, and it's a great group to work with. So I think it's a combination of things to answer your question.
Yep.
And Coach, just to piggyback on what you said, to me, just from and correct me if I'm wrong, but the beginning of the year, it seemed was like a timid, almost passive team. So now it is an aggressive, physical, intelligent
attacking style.
They've learned the schemes. And you can just see the aggressiveness, the physicalness, the intelligence of all 3 phases of the game.
Well, and we've said on here too, just to be frank, and this is not a knock on the kids. I've told the kids this. Our team speed is not great, our overall team speed. So when you throw in that timidness with a lack of team speed, that's a bad recipe. Yeah. And I think that's where I was so worried. Are we going to get 1 win in? And but we've improved. And like I said, I keep saying this. I saw the light switch turn on at Wellsville week 3, even though we lost.
Right. Yes.
But I said maybe if we continue to get better, I saw some bright spots. I said, and if we can stay healthy, I said maybe we can really improve as a football team, and we've done that, and we're not satisfied.
You're not done yet, right?
Yeah, we got a rough road ahead of us here late in the season with some very talented football teams. But again, I'm not worried right now about our opponents. I'm worried about ourselves, and that's where we're at with our program right now. Worrying about yourself, playing with class, playing with heart, and just giving it your all. And this week, I had the kids on Monday write down 3 things that they can improve on: offense, defense, special teams. Had them put their name on it. They gave it to me. I ran a Xerox copy off for each kid. I kept the copy and I put it in their mailbox, or not in their mailbox, in their locker. So when they got back the next day, I keep saying, you got to improve on those things.
Work on this.
So, we're really working on ourselves at this point.
That's awesome, Coach. I like that. Hey, let's take our first break, or our halfway point break, I should say, with Coach Eric Meek, Steubenville Catholic Central, live here at Bennigan's. We'll be back after these messages.
A pioneer of casual dining, Bennigan's is internationally known for its unique neighborhood vibe and exceptional chef-driven food. Come to Bennigan's on University Boulevard to stir up a great memory. Come for happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. and get $1 off draft and bottled beer and $1 off signature cocktails. Grab some bar bites too. Only $5 from 9 p.m. to close. Hey, are you a soccer fan? Check out the schedule of English Premier League soccer games. Bennigan's even has delivery service, and the number to call, 740-792-8080. You got a friend at Bennigan's.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
This high school event is brought to you by AT&T on Sunset via the AT&T Wireless Network. Remember, don't text and drive, it can wait. AT&T on Sunset is a proud sponsor of this high school event.
This is Ohio Valley Sports Online, your connection to Ohio Valley sports. Listen anywhere in the world from any connected device, smartphone, tablets, iPads, and computers. Ohio Valley Sports Online brings you live game action from the guys with over 50 years in radio sports broadcasting.
And we are back live here at Bennigan's, where we're here every Wednesday with the Ohio Valley Sports Online Coaches Show. And Coach Meek, let's talk about this week's opponent, the Conotton Valley Rockets.
Yes, they a team that we just said Bridgeport's has put up some points. Conotton Valley's put up a ton of points, and including in that was a 42-18 victory over Bridgeport a few weeks ago. We've seen them on film. That first off, they're very fundamental and very well coached. Their coach, Don Hertler Jr., made a name for himself. He's older than me, and he made a name for himself up in the Canton area. Right. Is in the Ohio High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame, and came back, and Conotton Valley brought him in, and he runs a really good football program. His kids are physical. They run a lot of the I formation, which I ran 4 short years ago at Toronto, a lot of that. And, they're just very fundamental, 40 defense. They're fundamentally sound in all aspects, offense, defense, special teams. And they're a really good football team. And, we definitely need this week to continue to improve and take a step forward one of my coaches said today to me, what do you think we need to do to win? And I said, well, we got to win that turnover margin again. We got to score points. And I think we got to win the special teams because, if we can do and be able to run the football.
Right.
So it's going to be quite a challenge. But, again, I think that our kids aren't going to back down from anyone at this point of the season.
Yeah, and you spoke of Conotton Valley. They come in the first 4 games they were 1-3, but then they turned around and won 3 out of the last
they
4.
lost some really
some good
tight games. High scoring games. One was a double overtime game. I think they played 2 overtime games actually early in the year. So they've been tested in the tight situations, and we just got to come out and play hard and try to pick up. And we're both fighting for playoff spots, and all those different things.
Now, are they you talked about the offense and defense a little bit, but are they a big physical, or are they finesse?
No, I would say they're more of a downhill. They're going to try to come at you and out physical you and try to do some things. Defensively, they don't blitz. When they blitz, it's usually right at the snap. You don't see it coming, so you have to be prepared. So they're a good team, well coached, and they certainly do. They're a team. Oh, and also they have about 6 or 7 seniors starting.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's unlike us. So they're a little bit older than us as far as kids that are on the field.
And Coach, that's what I was going to ask you. A lot of coaching goes into schemes and your game plans. Talent-wise, how do you match up? I know you're, extremely young at this stage, and you said they have seniors, but do you kind of match up with them?
Well, I think the way our run game, defensive against the run, has really been. To be quite honest with you, I kind of like this matchup. If we were playing a team that is going to just do some incredible things with their team speed, that's a little bit of a concern. But, the last time, we played Edison, we played Caldwell, teams that in Wellsville, that just line up and come try to hit you in the mouth. So it's been a few weeks since we played Edison, so I'm real anxious to see how we're going to line up and play against their offense when they try to come right downhill at us. So it's going to be a challenge. But again, I wouldn't have said that 7 weeks ago. But now I'm a little more much more confident.
I like you talk about the defense, the run game, and I keep going back to it's all of them, but that front 4 and your linebackers as well. As we were talking about it, Billy and I the other day, just being able to get pressure with those 4 guys, and it's helping stop the passing game for the other teams too. Because, like I said, you shut down a pretty good Bridgeport passing team.
Our D-line coaches, Rick Gillette and Matt Grimard, and our linebacker coach, John Lesner, has done a great job of implementing Coach Palmer's defensive philosophy, and the technique is very good. They're coming in, they're getting in that gap low, they're getting in there hard, and then when there is a pass rush, it was missing the first 5 games. About game 6, we really preached it, the hands in the air. And now, when they see success, wow, now we understand why our hands got to be up instead of just running in there with their fist pumping down at their waist.
Backyard.
So we have seen a lot of improvement there, and that has disrupted the quarterback's passing lane, but also it's resulted in some sacks, big sacks, and turnovers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, defensively, they still. They're a smaller school, like you guys. So I'm sure they play a lot both ways. So it's going to be, they're bigger on the defensive side. Do they stack the box, or do they
Though it's very they're very similar from a scheme standpoint to what we just saw at Bridgeport, which is good for us because when we did our walkthroughs Monday and Tuesday, the kids they could have done them in their sleep. Right. They knew exactly where to go, so there was no hesitation. So they'll mix that guy up on the offensive guard. They'll put him inside shade, head up, outside shade. The backer will be opposite. We'll line up depending on where that tackle lines up. And, so we have some situations there that we have a few things planned to hopefully try to get yardage. And I really liked, we showed the kids in film, we showed that first offensive series Friday against Bridgeport that bogged down, and then we showed them the last series where we took 10 plays and ran the clock out. And they agreed with us at the effort when it was time to win the game. They turned it up a notch, and that we got to do that for 4 quarters. Right. Once we can learn to play 4 quarters like that, we're gonna be okay.
That's awesome, Coach. That is, and you talked about the special teams. Just you say you wanting to win the special teams, whether it's kicking the ball into the corner, good punt coverage, good all aspects. That also, once again, as I said, every aspect of your team, not blowing smoke, because it really has. From offense to defense to special teams has improved from what we saw beginning of the year till now.
Thank you. Yeah, Daniel Bolster's our kicker and punter. He's done it. I told him, I said, Daniel, if you want to play college, he's only a junior. If you want to play in college and punt, you can do it.
Yeah.
But also now, I get just some guys, Tommy Purgie and B.J. Fallon do a tremendous job on coverage teams from a contained standpoint. B.J. on the punt return, he's the only guy we send on punt safe. In case people try to fake it, we have everybody covered. And I asked him last night, we were downtown doing a community service thing at the Friendship Room. I said, hey, do you like that job? I said, every place I've coached, everyone wanted that job where you're chasing the rabbit, I call it. And he says, Coach, that is so fun. And I said, well, you'll probably do it again next year. I said, and then when you leave, everyone's going to come to me and say, can I have that job? I remember my son, he just had dinner with him at Toronto. He wanted that job so bad, and it was between him and another kid, and I put him somewhere else on it. But, we're doing a great job of covering on punt and kicks. I always told the kids today at practice during special teams, I said, if you ever coach, I said, don't just put guys on punt and kick just to get them on the field or, to appease their parents or whatever, because you got to be able to run. You got to be able to stay in your lane, shed your block, break down and tackle. And if you can't play on kickoff or punt.
Right. That's just as important. Special teams are just an equally important phase of the game.
Yes.
As the other ones. And I'm remiss to bring up, but I will. I remember saying, you picked up the first victory. He said, Coach, a couple more of these, we'll be right in that playoff hunt. And according to my Joe at Hotel 66, you're in.
Well, I don't think we're in.
You're close.
If we wouldn't win, and a couple of teams, for example, McDonald, they got 2 winnable games that they might be slight underdogs. I don't know. Haven't seen them play, but they win them both, they'll jump us, and some other teams can jump us. So we need to win.
Yeah, definitely. You want to win.
Yeah, we don't want to back into it.
But I'm just so happy because, it's exciting to me just seeing, like I said, at the beginning of the year, because like I said, we were right there with we're covering the games, and to see, it's like 2 different teams, Jimmy.
Well, let me ask you this. So, do you understand my concern on that bus ride home from Caldwell back in late August?
Yes.
I was like, how am, number one, as the head coach, 23 years as a head high school coach, different schools, how am I started asking my own self, if this doesn't get better, how I got to be the leader of the program. I can't like show that I'm being weak, because if I show that I'm weak, the whole program's the locker.
Yes.
I'm going to lose everybody. And so I had to get myself in the, veteran coach. You better not feel sorry for yourself. You better get up at the crack of dawn at 5 and not lay in bed, and find a way to move everyone in the right direction, because if not, it's going to get really, really bad. And, and then we made some moves, and we just stayed the course, and we adjusted some things, and to the kids' credit, they hung in there, and we are getting better. Do we have as many wins as I want at this point? No. But I sat on here 3-4 weeks ago, and I made a guarantee to you, and I'll stick by it, that it's going to get turned around.
And it is starting. You can see it, Coach. And like I said, I think everybody can see, and if you, people that, I'm not going to say know the game but know sports, but people, to the average fan, okay, they're 3-5, they're having a losing season, but to people that follow the game and athletics, whether it's any sport, you can see when
effort
they're learning.
You can see effort too.
You can. I always say I love when you try to teach a kid something and you know this, and they finally get it, and their eyes light up, and that feeling of like I don't ever have to tell them that again. I mean, I have to remind them, but they know now, and you can see their whole team grasping the concept that you're trying to put in. So I applaud you and all the coaches for that. With that, we're going to wrap it up, and next week we're going to be talking 3 in a row and playoff clinching. Coach Eric.
Yeah, Meek. I told you if we clinch, you'll let me know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If we get the win, you can send me a text.
Oh, I will. I definitely will. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up here from Bennigan's with Coach Eric Meek, sponsored by Bennigan's. Join us Saturday morning in Mineral Ridge, Ohio. As Big Red takes on Youngstown Ursuline, and then we got double duty Saturday night at Harding Stadium. The Conotton Valley Rockets come to take on Steubenville Catholic Central. Coach Meek, Jim Jaggers Huggins, Ray Saccoccia, Jimmy Matt Wilson, Dan Vogel, and myself, Jason Tippett. Have a great evening, everybody.